I come from a very small town, from an army background. So as far as we can remember, everybody has been in army and a pretty decorated family. So I grew up in that environment, an environment which teaches you dedication, perseverance, sacrifice, fighting for a bigger cause. And those are my early years. I've been working for a very long time, longer than I want to remember or share. I work at Flipkart as a business head. It's a brilliant organization. There are, over the last 3 decades, I've worked with multiple organizations. There are organizations that only want to focus on process. You're just one of the cog in the wheels, and as long as you follow the process, you do it with efficiency, and that's good enough. There are some organizations which are driven by a singular personality. They could be great organizations, but they're driven by a single person, his vision or her vision, and so on and so forth. And there are organizations that create leaders that are focused on empowerment, that are focused on empathy, that are focused on letting the teams take risks, discover what they are capable of, solving bigger problems. So from an outside world, it may look like chaotic, but inside, when you're part of that team, when you're part of that organization, it's a systemic culture that fosters big problem solving, that fosters leaders discovering what they are capable of. Flipkart is one of those organizations, and these kind of organizations are very, very rare. So I'll give you an example. Whenever somebody joins my team, and I tell them a job is a job, a career is a career, and there are multiple ways you can look at the next decade or the next 3 decades that you'll be working. If you are at Flipkart, the biggest disservice that you can do to yourself is not explore what you're capable of. If it's a job, there are so many companies in India, there are so many companies in the world, there are cookie cutter solutions. If you're coming to Flipkart, explore. Go on, take risk. Nobody gets sacked in our organization for taking risk. Nobody gets questioned for dreaming big. But a lot of formal education teaches is, again, I'll go back to the same word, process, think, analysis, paralysis, risk-taking, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. What they don't teach you is how to get to moon. What they don't teach you, how do you get to the outer edges of the solar system. So if you're at Flipkart, and it's a privilege to be here, I say this with a lot of pride, go out, explore. The biggest disservice you will do is not doing or not figuring out what you're capable of. We push people, we say go out. But then each flipster also has a responsibility. And here's an example I give them. The term is job crafting. It's a very, very powerful term. Don't look at the organization to tell you what needs to be done. Organization has given you a free playground. That our culture of audacity, our culture of bias for actioners, fearlessness, this is the playground we've given. But the onus also lies on you. Craft your job in a way that it gives you a much bigger sense of purpose than coming to office at 9 and leaving at 5 and so on and so forth. Our job is to not to sell. Our job is to make sure that the next generation that is going up, the accident of birth, gets neutralized. Okay? A father doesn't hesitate, doesn't have to think twice about giving a laptop to his or her daughter or son. But say, of course I can afford it. Similarly, a son or a daughter shouldn't hesitate that I'm asking this, how will my father or my mother afford it? They should say, yeah, of course they can. And that's our role. And that's the reason I say Flipkart can give you a playground. It's a free playground. We say, go express yourself. But then each employee also has a responsibility that how do they define their purpose? What gets them to office? And as leaders, it's our job to present that picture to them. And I find a lot of employees, a lot of our flipsters get inspired by this. And this is what we do. This is how we drive the culture of audacity. As a leader, what am I doing? Okay. Of course, I know the job that my team is doing. Okay. And if my only input is how to get them to do their job better, honestly, I'm not needed by Flipkart. A country's physical stock can actually improve. India, unfortunately, is one of those countries where the growth is stunted. What happens? You can give a child good food, but the bigger problem is a child on an average loses about 15 days every year suffering from illness caused by waterborne diseases. This stunts the growth. It makes havoc on the body. Your job is not to sell water purifier. Your job is to make sure that people have access to clean water. Okay? If they cannot afford this price, figure out a way of making it accessible to them. A family of 4 needs about 20 liters of water a day. Let's solve it. This would be our service to the nation. This would be our service to the next generation. And this is inspirational. My job is to make sure, while Flipkart has given this open playground, now I'm working with the most powerful asset that we have, which is Flipsters. Young, idealist, brilliant Flipsters. Inspire them. Tell them. Motivation, realization. This is why you're here. This is your purpose. When you look back in your career, 30 years down the line, you will have a story to tell. Your story won't be, I was a senior vice president or I was a CEO. Your story would be, I actually helped solve access to clean water in this country. The 15 days that a child was losing per year because of ill health came down to 10 days. And yes, Flipsters can do it. This is what we do. There's a difference between job and purpose. Okay, no job is perfect, and every day you start, you don't win all the time. Okay. If you were winning all the time, I can assure you, we were not pushing ourselves. Times get tough, and that's where leaders stand up. And by leaders, I don't mean somebody with a senior VP title. By leader, I mean just one guy at a middle management level or one girl who just joined us as an account manager. They stand up in these tough times. I grew up in an army family. So this is the 1962 India-China war. The place is Rizangla. Okay, and you can Wikipedia it or Google it. It's called Chushul actually. There are 120 men of 13th Kumaon Charlie Company led by Major Shaitan Singh. Major Shaitan Singh is from Rajasthan. Rest of the kids are all from my area, 3 districts of Haryana, Rewari, Mahendragarh and Arnaul. Out of 120 men, 114 died. Major Shaitan Singh died. 6 survived, but they didn't allow the Chinese to come in. The big part is not with what valor they fought. The big part is when they were stationed there, they knew they will lose. They did not have the covering fire of artillery guns. Now for a non-army kid, it may look like it. Fundamentally, the other side has big artillery, this side doesn't have. How do we explain 120 men stationed there and saying the most primal instinct that I have is to survive? And they say, no, this is the job that I have to do. This is the purpose. I will not allow them to ingress. Because if they ingress, India loses Ladakh. This is the family I grew up in. So sacrifice, perseverance, dedication, gunning for the big odds or fighting against big odds came very, very naturally. My pivotal moment was, usually when you work for a long period of time, people ask, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are you working on, areas of development. We've all done this. What would be my story that would inspire them? That search for that story is what drives me. What problem am I solving? And I'm actually privileged I'm at Flipkart because Flipkart allows me to search for that. After working for X number of, maybe you will work for 3 decades. I just need that one story and I'm searching for that one story. What would be my contribution that would inspire my granddaughter? And that is what keeps me at Flipkart. That is what keeps me going.